Okay, so I think we've got pretty much critical mass now in terms of people joining the call. So a very big thank you for joining us this morning, and if for those catching up on this online, hope you're doing well as well. So we've got a great topic today, and particularly given the state of the market at the moment. We're covering, it's a masterclass on marketing for builders. There will be a lot of builders talk today, but if you're not a builder, if you're a tradie of some other persuasion, a lot of really relevant stuff for you in here as well. So I'm just going to kick off with this presentation. So a quick thing first on us, on Xact Accounting. We're an accounting firm, but we really just do building and construction. That's our specialty. If you are in Queensland, what that means for you as well is the minimum financial requirements side of QBCC licensing. It's one of our superpowers. We know that inside out. So if anyone has any trouble with that, come and have a chat. We also, distinct from a lot of other accounting firms, we do a thing called CFO Advisory, which is Dan, who's on the call today. He runs that division for us. And it's all about looking into the future. It's all about the commercial side of your business as opposed to the tax side of the business where accountants usually focus. And it's about improving margins and financial visibility. So today, the agenda, Dan is going to go really wide and look at the market as a whole. So the Australian economy, the building industry, and then for those in Queensland, a little bit about what's happening in the market up here. Then that's a sort of precursor to Corne, who's really the feature today, who's going to be taking us through marketing strategy and all things about how to attract, nurture, and then convert leads in your business at marketing fundamentals. So that's Corne, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. In terms of questions, the Q&A function is activated on the webinar. So if you want to drop questions in there, we'll be able to grab them as we go. If there's a really good one and it's really relevant to what's going on with the host, we might put it to them on the fly. Hope that's okay, guys. But we'll definitely have a dedicated Q&A session at the end as well. In terms of how this content fits from an Xact perspective and what we would usually cover with builders. Sorry about the busy slide here, but this is the way we approach our work with builders and tradies. So there's 3 layers to it. There's a reporting layer. So what sort of reports I've got going on in my business. How are we going in terms of running the different things in our business? I will just make sure we're sharing here again. We had a little tech bit of fun there. So, so platform layer and then a process layer. The focus for today are these blue bits. So really with a major focus on marketing. We'll be talking a little bit about what the sales process looks like underneath that. The CRM being the core platform for marketing and the real backbone for how you're managing those leads through your business. And it all feeds through to, from a reporting perspective, your budget. So how many leads do I need coming in to hit the profit number I need to hit? And the P&L. So what am I spending on marketing and what sort of return am I getting? So without further ado, if I can just switch over here. So our presenters today, Corne has been in this gig for a long time. I think he understands he sort of started in a more general sort of frame in terms of video content and video marketing for a range of different industries, but very quickly saw a really great need for strong video and marketing activity for builders. He's been running Bizvideo for over 10 years now, travels around the country doing this sort of stuff. and has really cultivated an amazing portfolio of clients and work that goes behind it. He's going to be talking generally about marketing today, but there'll be an opportunity for you to grab his details if you want to engage Bizvideo for some work in your business. Dan Wilkinson is a partner and the head of CFO Advisory at Xact Accounting. He knows a lot about how to make profit in a building company. It's all about the commercial side of the business and margins for Dan. He really doesn't care too much for tax. That's a whole other thing that other accountants look at. Dan has a CFO background and has worked in commerce for private but also public listed companies, and these days is really dedicated to our portfolio of builder clients and helping them make more profit. So they are our presenters today. Dan, I might hand over to you now, mate, so that you can go through the state of the market more generally, and I'll stop share so you can take on from here, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Really appreciate the warm welcome, and Corne, looking forward to running this one down with you, mate. So I'll lens my side pretty quickly. I just want to just apply facts, data, information to, a lot of the gut feel and emotion that's going on with builders in the background as well. So feel free to drop questions in as you go, guys. I mean, hopefully this will be a bit of two-way, fire lots of stuff to us, or if not, you can book a session or catch up with any one of us on this webinar today. But let me push through my side pretty quickly before I obviously pass over to the main event, which is Corne and his crew. So I just want to talk about the state of the market at a really high level. I mean, GDP is really starting to slow out there, as we know. I'll push through these graphs really quick. Up and down over the last couple of years. COVID's obviously sent that to a spiral, but what we can see here over the last sort of year, just over a year, GDP is starting to come up a little bit. If we come across to this slide here, I mean, we know what's going on with the cost of living. This little graph here is showing that, your basket of groceries and other items, fuel, whatever it happens to be, is really shooting up. And obviously that's creating a bit of pricing pressure. And then what the RBA is trying to do is push up interest rates to try and suck out some of this disposable income that's gone in the market, especially post-COVID as well. I mean, people couldn't travel, they had more money, they tried to buy secondhand cars, can't buy those. So obviously that pushes up goods and services, the old economic supply and demand curve. Coming across just to, income and savings. So these two graphs here, I'm just pushing through this quickly, is over the last sort of few years, particularly this blue line here, disposable income is starting to drop off a little bit. And that's mainly due to the RBA and CPI pressure in the background as well. But it is having a bit of double whammy because these savings that we've built up over the last couple of years is starting to get absolutely smashed here in the background as well. So the cash that we have sort of stuffed under the pillow during that period is not only sort of pushing, sucking out disposable income, but savings is starting to have a bit of a battering as well. So what's that do to consumer sentiment? So housing prices are starting to fall off a bit of a cliff, but but there will be some sub-markets that buck this trend. There might be some pockets in Sydney or Melbourne, but this is how the general public is feeling at the moment. So housing prices are starting to come off, and this is consumer sentiment, which is the lowest it's been for a number of years. There's a lot of uncertainty out there as well. This here is the number of building approvals over a pretty wide gap, but I'll probably just want to focus on this section here. So, I mean, there was sort of 10 to 15,000 approvals over the last sort of preceding quarters, and that is starting to taper off pretty heavily as well. So this is the impact that all these moving parts, inflation, interest rates, all that sort of side is having on the market. So we know that the market is starting to tighten up, and that whole demand side is starting to tighten up as well. We have a lot of people from Queensland on this webinar, so apologies for those of you who are, joining us interstate. I just wanted to sort of focus on here. So this is the building loan approvals sort of by month over the last sort of 5 to 6 months, 7 months. As you can see here in the June period, I mean, the number of new loans approved in the millions was $511 million in new loans approved. And when you sort of fast forward to around about the February period, it's pretty much halved. So obviously there's a lot less money coming out of the market. The banks are approving less, demand's coming off. So there's obviously less money getting swirled around for builders and trades and sub-trades out in the market as well. So this is, construction new dwellings, and the reno market's also having the same impact, about $184 million being approved back in May. And over time, that is close to halving as well, which is landing at $97 million. And just to sort of show the exaggeration, this is just the reno side that's going on in the background too. So less money floating around. So demand is tapering off, but you know, the supply is obviously still soldiering on. So there will be a bit of a reckoning here as a market, I guess as the markets do tighten up. And this here, again, I won't spend too much time on this because it is a little bit of doom and gloom, but obviously the combination of the last couple of years, margins being squeezed, costs increasing, especially if you're carrying those fixed price contracts. These are the number of construction businesses that are starting to sort of tip over. So this time last year, I mean, obviously construction is pretty cutthroat, you know, and a pretty tough industry to work in, but 845 toppled over financial year to April 2nd. This year, when you compare the same numbers, you know, it is close to double as well, which is incredibly sad, but this is the damage catching up with builders as well over this period of time. So I know it just highlights the need just to be across your numbers, be across your financial clarity, especially when we're in a boom time. You know, it's easy to be a hero. You know, there's plenty of work, plenty of people, plenty of activity. But as a market, you know, I guess as the market tightens, you really need to sort of relays and focus on, well, how am I going to sort of attract leads and attract quality people to my business as well, especially on the client front. So what does this all mean for builders overall? And I'll talk about this in a couple of lenses too. So we'll do pre-23, future, current state and future state, and I'll push through this fairly quickly as well. So leading up to 2023, demand was obviously high. You know, I guess a lot of the builders that even we speak to and deal with, you know, demand was through the roof. People were batting off leads. You know, time, you know, I guess a lot of the time was good as far as top line growth goes, but, you know, margins got absolutely hammered, but plenty of leads coming through. The total job value was high. I mean, people couldn't travel, lockdown, so people couldn't spend money on holidays. They couldn't buy much disposable assets due to supply constraints around the world. So people either build houses or they extend. So total job value was very high as well. So revenue really rocketed for a lot of building businesses out there. Margins thinned incredibly. Like, it was amazing the pummeling the builders got around that, especially sub trades. But we all know what's happened there for the last couple of years. You just look everywhere and you hear stories about that. Competition was really low. I mean, there's bucket loads of supply and you're batting away leads all the time. I mean, competition is pretty low. I guess, you know, the number of quality builders out there is low. And then the marketing effort was low, because if you're getting lots of leads, people coming through, you know, word of mouth, etc., you know, why would you spend a lot of money on, I guess, marketing, whether it's Google AdWords or SEO, or, you know, even, you know, generating a bit of an online social presence? Why would you focus on that when you're getting heaps of leads through? Fast forwarding to now, you know, demand is still remaining pretty strong. I mean, if you're in that project home space, you look, I think you're going to be in a little bit of trouble, especially as mums and dads' disposable income gets dried up. But if you're in the architecturally design space, you know, that I do see that market being pretty strong for a while. So if you're operating there, or the spec home or the custom home, I think it'd be all right. But demand remains pretty strong from what I'm seeing. The conversion cycle is taking a lot longer, probably 2 to 2.5 times longer, but there's still plenty of demand out there. The total job value is definitely decreasing. I mean, the number of builders I speak to when they go, hey, I spoke to this client 12 months ago, I priced a project is going to take, you know, cost 1.4 to build. And you go, hey, I've repriced it now, sort of 8, 9, 11 months later, going to show up to 2.1. That does create a bit of fear in the market too. So the total job value is decreasing, and that is forcing a lot of people to sort of cut back on how they're building their projects. So they might want to drop off a deck or a pool, or I guess, you know, even if they're doing like a build under the house, you know, sort of rationalizing that a little bit. So the total value or job value is decreasing from what I'm seeing. In saying all this, one of my favorite bits on this slide is margins. You know, they're the strongest I've probably seen in 5 years. So, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of builders, you know, they've been tired over the last couple of years, COVID and all the rest of it, and they've really been staunch with their margins, caring more about it than ever before. I mean, just because, I mean, you land a project, you know, that's 2 million or 2.5 million. I mean, to be honest, I don't really care about the revenue. My first question is, what's your margin going to be and how much you're going to keep, and, you know, how sure you are of that margin. So margins continue to be strong, and they're only going up, which is very exciting, especially in this market that's about to cool. Competition is increasing as well. So the sad fact is obviously during the last couple of years and those insolvencies, I mean, the builders that aren't across the numbers and how it works and the financial clarity side, you know, it's only going to either cut builders out, or, you know, the ones that sort of pop out the other end with all the scars are going to be far more sophisticated. So competition will become much more fierce and pricing will get a lot more tighter. And then now, the marketing effort's been pretty low, to be honest, to date. I mean, why just invest a lot of money in marketing when you've got plenty of leads? So the marketing effort is low, but now is the time to really ramp up. I mean, there won't be too many accounts that, that you speak to that say, hey, spend money in marketing. A lot of them will say, no, cut costs. Whereas my view is quite the opposite. If lead times and conversion times are, close to doubling, now's the time to sort of double down and, really push that marketing, really invest in it, not just cash, but time as well. And then coming into the future, where do I think it'll go? So marketing, it's not just about getting them into the funnel anymore. It's about that conversion. I mean, the client landscape's going to have a lot of fear when dealing with builders. I mean, for a builder, your role is to sell a strong and sophisticated business being the marketing channel. And Corne will obviously take you through that in a bit more detail, what that means. But demand is definitely diminishing, without a doubt. Total job value is decreasing, as we just touched on before too. And I think they'll continue on for a little bit, especially as employment and unemployment readjusts. Margins are starting to thin a little bit, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, builders are going to be more sophisticated with how they price, how they go about it, and have a lot more respect for that process as well. So there will be some thinning out, but that's just the market readjusting in these cycles as well. So costs will start to steady, but competition will start to get a bit more fierce. So the strong will survive, I guess, the next sort of year or two coming up. Competition is getting more fierce. So you're probably finding, especially if you're doing a lot of tendering in that architecturally design space, competition is starting to get more fierce as well. I mean, mums and dads, or I guess, particularly clients, don't want to spend as much money anymore. They're a bit more fearful. I mean, there's a lot more sophistication with builders popping out of the end over the last couple of years too, but competition will get harder and harder, in which case you need to be more and more across this as well. And then what needs to happen is a pretty strong realignment and a reassessment to really lifting your marketing effort. So now's the time to double down, spend a bit of money on it, and make sure you are well insulated as far as leads and conversions go into the near future. So where does that leave us? So you have to squeeze every cent and dollar out you can out of your existing jobs. So to do that, you need to keep, I guess, margins and costs under the microscope. And I see this all the time. Builders build out these beautiful quotes. They go on for pages and pages. And look, whether you sort of use Xact or Builder Trend or one of those, builders spend a lot of time building these out, but then they sort of stop and they don't sort of measure themselves against these costs. Maybe the big ones like the sub trades, like the tiler or framing, or if you outsource carpentry, you'll keep that under the microscope as well. But I mean, you have to make sure you continue to squeeze those margins out, because builders don't make a tremendous amount of money. Like if you're in a legal firm, you should be making 50, 65% margins. Builders don't make anything like that. So you need to defend that at all costs. And there's a tremendous amount of cash that goes through your business. You have to keep it under the microscope. Laser sharp pricing, super, super important. I mean, an example of that as well is, I was speaking to a builder the other day, probably about a couple of weeks ago. He was installing a retaining wall. The retaining wall should have been 10 grand all in. To be honest, if your retaining wall comes in at 10 grand, I couldn't really care. If it comes in at 12 grand, I'm going to be really painful and going, what's happened, what's going on, what's our learning? But, if that 10 grand retaining wall, which is what it should have cost you, came in at 8, high fives and hugs, you made $2,000 extra above and beyond what you thought you're going to make. And then how do you manage that process? You need to have a strong job costing takeoff system in the background. So we've hitched our wagon to Xact. I mean, we're pretty big fans of them, but there's plenty of them out there like Builder Trend or Procore or any of those. If you aren't using a strong job costing system or program, I'd strongly recommend you get across it. I mean, having tech in the background to support your business is really important, especially if you want to get out the other side of this, I guess, pretty challenging time. The big thing is preparing for leaner times. So we all know that the business goes through these cycles every 10 to 15 years. I mean, there is going to be a tightening coming, but I think margins will get better, which is what I'd rather see. I'd rather see margins get better, revenue come off a little bit, because we've sort of gone through this cycle now of revenue going through the roof and builders not making anything, the profitless boom. I think we've been past it. Now is the time for builders to make a bit of money. And then just before I hand to Corne, I think, the whole purpose of this is that you need to start doubling down on marketing. So I think that has been sort of pushed off to the side in the corner for a number of years now. But as the market starts to tighten, you really need to double down on marketing. So If you've got a bit of a pen and paper there, I'll chuck a number at you. But if you're a builder or a sub trade or in built environment, you should really be spending 2 to 4% of your revenue dollars into marketing and investing in that. So, I mean, it really depends where you are in your cycle as well, where you're sort of ramping up or you're consolidating or you're just trying to like maintain your current turnover. But if you aren't investing 2 to 4% of your revenue into marketing, into that marketing spend, so whether it's Facebook ads or Google or SEO, or whatever it happens to be, you really need to consider that pretty quickly. And Corne is going to give you a bit of a hand with that as to what that looks like and where to go from there. Just quickly before I hand off, if you have your phone close by and look, if there's anything that sort of resonated with you, just a really quick gloss over before we hand over to Corne and the marketing side, we do have a really basic business health check here. It's pretty quick to fill out, a couple of minutes, but there's a link to tools and all sorts of other free stuff. You just drop in your emails and look, there's cash flows and all sorts of other bits and pieces there. It's worth checking out and seeing how you sort of peg yourself versus your colleagues and peers in the market. And that's about a wrap from me.
Awesome, thanks, Dan. So yeah, I recommend if any of that has piqued your interest a bit on the way through, go off and do that health check. We'll be providing a link after the show to this webinar so you can watch it back again. Dan is a super bright colleague of mine. He goes real fast. So I know that it was probably a little bit hard to keep up with some of that stuff. Don't worry. We're going to be sending the video out afterwards so people can watch back. And that health check has a list of links as well that you get to other content and tools that we've used previously around cash flow and margin protection, all that sort of stuff. So, Corne, thanks, mate. We're going to hand over to you now.
Thanks, guys. Can you hear me all right? Can you see my screen? Just want to make sure.
Perfect.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks so much for that lead in, Dan. Yeah, really love that content you've given there. I'll start with this slide here. It's a book. So some of you, watching this webinar, you might have come across this book. You might have read it. It's a great book, especially for builders, especially during these times, a lot of uncertainty and stuff heading into the future. And it's all about turning problems into opportunities. And the author talks about a few things, but the two key takeaways is for me, number one is perception. So how do you react to the circumstances? How do you react to some of these challenges that are coming up? And then the second one is action. So what decisive action can you take regardless of the problem or the obstacle? And how can you make that an opportunity? All right. So it's not about what happens to you. It's about what you do about it, what you can control. Obviously, in this world, there's a lot of things you can't control. But if you look at, if you change your perception, see how can I, what can I do to take more control here? That's where you'll stand out. So I've got a quick exercise. So if you have a pen and paper, I really want you to just quickly run through this exercise with me. If you don't, just go through it in your head. And what I want you to do is each item I'm going to bring up, I want to just rate yourself from a scale of 0 to 10. So 0 meaning you're not doing really well on this specific topic, or 10, you've got it all handled. Okay. So this is a problem opportunity exercise. So the first one is, how clear are you on your vision? So from 0 to 10. And then the second one, how clear are you on who your ideal client is? 0 to 10. How clear is your messaging towards your ideal client? Do you have a way to communicate the message to your ideal client? 0 to 10. Do you have a way to get your ideal client aware of your business? Do you have a way to build trust in the mind of your ideal client? Do you have a way to capture them into your pipeline? Do you have a consistent content marketing in place to nurture your ideal clients? Do you have a way to keep track of where your ideal client is in your sales pipeline? And do you have a way to qualify and make sure people in your sales pipeline are potential ideal clients? Because sometimes a lead or an inquiry might look really great. And then when you start working with them, you go, oh, wow, I should have seen those red flags. So do you have a way to qualify them there? So if you look at this whole list, okay, and you did this exercise from 0 to 10, where's the opportunity for you? So some people might go, let's say on this one here, do you have a way to capture them into your pipeline? You might go, no, that's a massive downfall for me. I'm not really good at that. Well, you might argue that's probably your biggest opportunity at this stage. So where is the opportunity for you as a builder? Where, like, if you can improve 10% on some of these bullet points, will that make a huge difference in your business? So that's just a little quick exercise that I run a lot of builders through. It's a great way of just quickly going, okay, cool. Where's my marketing at? How do I, communicate that to my ideal clients? And talking about ideal clients, so this is a question we ask a lot of builders before we even start working with them. What makes you different as a builder? Why should someone build with you over the other builder? And this is what people normally say. They say, well, we build quality. We've got a great team. Our communication's good. And, we really care. And I'm not joking with you. I've had over 100, like hundreds of builders tell me all of this. We do quality. So how do you differentiate yourself? How do you make yourself different from the other choices, the other options that prospective clients have, especially during these times coming up? Dan just mentioned a lot of different things there in terms of, the last few years has been great. There's been an oversupply of people that want to build. And now there's a lot of different builders. So how do you differentiate yourself? So I'll get to that in this webinar. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is Italy and wine. So this is my wife and I on the way to the airport to Italy. And, my desire with this trip to Italy was I wanted to do two things. Number one was I wanted to rest a little bit because I had a massive year in business. And also I wanted to spend some quality time with my wife. And we went around a few places in Italy. So there's a few little places here, but this particular story takes place in a small town in Puglia. So Puglia is just down here in a small town called Ostuni. And Ostuni is referred to the White City, and it's a beautiful little village on top of a hill close to the sea. I remember driving, if we just go back to the map, I remember driving, I think we were driving from Naples. When we got to Ostuni, in the distance, this is in summer, I saw this little hill and there was what looked like snow. I was like, no way, how's there snow in the middle of the summer? But then when we got closer, it's actually the city. And I had a little bit of a problem. That's me on the bed. I wanted to rest on this particular day, but my wife was really keen to go explore. You can imagine, we're in a new place, we wanted to go explore. So, and on this particular day, she wanted to go wine tasting. So then, I'm like, okay, cool. I've got to, let's do this. Let's do what my wife wants to do. And we went on to this little wine farm not too far away. And I'm thinking, we could have just bought a few wine bottles back in the city, in the little town, the village, and just drink it there, have a good time. But, I wanted to be a good husband. So anyway, here we are sitting, waiting until this wine tour started. I'm thinking, oh, well, it's not too bad. So I've got a few little snacks. And then this lady here, I can't remember her name, but let's call her Anna. Okay. So she walked us around this whole vineyard and she took us around all these different parts of it. And what she did along the way was she explained all the generations that's been, how this wine farm's been in the family for generations and generations, where how it all started, everything about where the animals lived, where all the families lived. And so we walked around everywhere. And she told these little stories along the way. And this little photo here, this is pretty funny because when we crossed this train track, she's like, no selfies on the train track. And obviously I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a selfie on the train track. And my wife is so embarrassed right there. So anyway, and then she even explained to us why this particular soil was so good and how it caused the wine to taste a different way. She walked us through the whole production line, how it all worked. And then you can just imagine this is me. So insert photo of me drinking wine here. I didn't get a photo because we were just enjoying it too much. And, we started tasting all these wines. And at this point in time, I was emotionally connected to the story. I knew the ins and outs, and I swear the wine tasted better than any wine I've had before. And see, the thing is, the story is what connected me with this wine and made me appreciate the product so much more. And that's the key term, keyword here, product. Just remember that. I'll come back to that in 1 second. And here's a photo, of my wife holding a little bag with wine. So obviously, we bought some of this wine. We were sold on this. But what you don't see in this picture is that we actually ordered 24 bottles of wine and got it shipped back to Australia. Not only was this wine already 3 to 4 times more than any like normal bottle, but we also had to pay for the international freight. And the thing is, I didn't care. So the thing you have to understand here is because of the story and the impact it had on me on this emotional level, and with my wife as well, I didn't care, and I didn't even think twice about the price for this wine. It was like this great memory. And since then, we've actually like called the wine farm, and we've actually ordered wine again. So before that, I would have never even known about this wine farm. I would have never bought wine. I would have never gone out of my way to buy wine like this. So what does this tell us? So the other day I was doing some research, and how does psychology work with story? And I came across this guy called Uri Hassan. So he's from Princeton, and he says the brains of the storyteller and the story listener can actually synchronize. By simply telling a story, a person could plant ideas, thoughts, and emotions into the listener's brains. By telling a great story, you can actually change the way your audience thinks and even behaves with your brand. So the question I want to ask you is, how are you different from other builders? Is it quality? Is it the timing? Is it the supplies you use? Is it that you communicate well? So just have that question in your mind. And what you want to remember is people don't remember what you tell them. They remember how you make them feel. And story is the best way to make someone feel. So I've got this quick little video here that I want to just show you guys. Actually, I'm not going to show just because the audio, we tested this before, the audio didn't work. So I'll just keep going. I'll get Phil to send these videos out. So today, real quick, I'll be talking about your ideal client journey. So you have to understand, first of all, that you have to be clear on who your ideal client is. And once you're clear on your ideal client, what does that journey look like? What your prospect needs to go through to become an ideal client? Most builders in the past, they don't really have that journey mapped out. And it's not a complex journey or anything. It's just having it there in place and from the client's point of view. So I'll go through that. The next thing I'll go through is focused builder marketing. So the big picture marketing plan that works for our builder clients. And the reason why I say focus there is because over the years, like with all tech and everything, there's been a lot of shiny objects and a lot of different things that you have to try out and people saying different things. So I'm just going to show you, like in real simple form, what's been working for our clients. So I hope that helps. So just before I go into that, who is Bizvideo? So this is a little bit of an outdated photo of our team. Our team's bigger now. And we help builders with their marketing. And we have, we've helped builders all over Australia and New Zealand. And I've got this really cool video that I want to show you here. But again, I might just send it afterwards. And what we do is we solve problems, okay? And this is something that you can take away for your business as well. Like that's what you do. You don't build, you solve problems. And this is what every business does, solve problems. So problem number one that we solve is attracting and having to deal with the wrong clients that only focus on cost. And this can be a real challenge for builders because it's difficult for them to deliver like a real high quality product and a real high quality experience for the clients because there's no margin, right? So, and then the next problem is problem number two is empty or bad quality pipeline now in the future. And this can be a major concern for builders because it means that, you might not have enough business or you might not have the right type of projects coming into your business to sustain the business. And a weak pipeline can be very difficult because it's almost like you're in this vicious cycle. You're always stuck there and you're always asking, how can I get those projects? You see on Instagram, you see these builders just crushing it with their ideal projects and you're wondering like, why is that not the case for me? And then problem number three, struggling to build trust and be seen as experts by the clients. And this is another huge challenge for builders because a lot of builders are not recognized for their expertise and their knowledge. They're just order takers. Okay. And it's like the doctor-patient relationship. If you go see a doctor, do you tell the doctor what they have to do? Do you tell the doctor what, medicine or whatever they've got to prescribe? No, the thing is they ask you questions. They try and find out your problem and then they provide a solution. Okay. And I think this is something that a lot of builders have to start looking at. They have to, first of all, they have to be a good enough business, a business that actually solves problems. And they need to be able to set themselves as that expert in the client's eyes. So we help builders by solving these problems so they can grow their business and achieve the what, so they can enjoy the why. And just real quick, the what is all the little goals builders have, like things like good cash flow, a good pipeline, like these amazing projects, all these different things in terms of business, like an amazing team, an amazing client experience. Those are all goals, but those are what goals? The thing that we always tell our builder clients is you've got to get clear on your why. Why do you do what you do? Why are you in business? And for me personally, it's about, my family. It's about building experiences and really about building a legacy and really helping other people. When you first start business, you're in that survival mode. You're just trying to make money, right? And once you get past that survival stage, then it's like, okay, what's my why? So that's something that, I strongly suggest our clients get clear on. And that is like, what is your why? And this is just a cool little analogy here. So we see a lot of builders just go after the what goals every single day. And this is what happens. Like some builders here, some are like this one, they get running, they fall really hard. They've got to get back up again and go. Then you've got a few builders here, they're just coasting along, but that's about it. So that's why we've got to get clear on our why. So now I'll talk about your ideal client's journey from your client's perspective. So forget for one moment that you're a builder. Just imagine yourself being the client, the ideal client. The first thing is they need to, get attention and become aware. They've got to become aware of the business. Then they've got to get emotionally connected. Like that emotional connection, the story that I just told you, Italy and wine, like a second ago. And I'll go into like what this means in 1 second after all this. Then the next thing is they need to convert that. Once they're aware of the business, they're emotionally connected, they need to go into the sales pipeline somehow. And then when they're in that sales pipeline, this is where they need to be nurtured and trust needs to be built. And Dan was saying before that the sales lead time is increasing now. Things are taking longer. I think, Dan, you said like it's going like twice as long or something like that. And this is really where the builders that are crushing it, they've got like this way of nurturing and building trust long-term. They keep showing up. They keep reminding their ideal client that they're there. And then when the time is right, and it's a good fit, they will become a client. So this is just real easy. That's the client journey. So let's talk about builder marketing. What is working for our builder clients? The first thing you want to know is like ask yourself is like, well, what is the goal that our clients have? So this is normally what our clients tell us when they come to us. So they want prospective clients that are well educated. They want to become the builder of choice. They want to be seen as the expert, and they want a predictable pipeline. And to be able to do that kind of stuff, you can't just do all different types of marketing. You got to get some focus, which is now what I'm going to talk about is the focus. So what is focus? Before we go into focus marketing, we've got to understand what focus is. So these are just some of the out of dictionary. So on the everyday life, focus is the ability to concentrate on specific tasks or goals leading to better results. From an optical side, so optics, focus is where light rays converge or diverge into optical systems, crucial for clear, sharp images in devices like cameras and telescopes. And this is why Phil always jokes about like my Zoom setup here is crystal clear because this is good focus, right? And the next one is specialization. So focus refers to a specialized area within a broader subject, such as target market, subject matter expert. And this one's important because, we focus on builders, for example. That's our specialization. And the question you want to ask yourself as a builder is, what is your specialization? Do you just build for everyone? Do you build like carports, architectural builds, granny flats? Do you just do everything, or do you have a specialization? And generally, focus involves the idea of directing attention, energy, or resources toward a specific point or subject with an output or result. Okay. So now I'll make this easy just in terms of a diagram. So using focus and energy for best results. So you've got three things here. I'll start with number one here, in the middle, focus. This is the system. Okay. And on the left-hand side is energy. What energy are you putting into the system? And then what results are you getting out? Okay. So this is what a great like focus and energy kind of like diagram looks like. And I know a lot of builders, when it comes to like, let's say their marketing, for example, they have no focus. So they've got no system. And what they do is they try really hard because they get all these ideas and people are telling them all these different things that they have to do in terms of, let's say, their marketing. And they put in all this energy and then they get subpar results because there's no system. And then a few months go by and they get, sad about this. And they're like, oh man, it's not working. We get so many clients going like, yeah, we've tried Facebook marketing. It didn't work for us. Well, it's probably because there was no system. And that's what it looks like then, the next step. Now, because it's not working for them, they put in even less energy. So they've got less input, which doesn't change anything. It probably just makes the output even less. So that's no focus. So that's like almost like this negative feedback loop, negative cycle they're in. So now let's look at like using focus and energy for best results. So I just showed you this diagram before. So this is ideal. But the other variable that we want to put into this, the other factor that we want to put into this for exponential results is time. Okay, so if you've got the right system in place, you've got good amount of energy, you're getting good output, then it's about time. So consistency, just letting it go, keep putting in that energy. And what happens is exponentially, you get better results. And we've seen this with our clients, the ones that are, always putting in, year after year after year, they're building a bigger brand. People are trusting them more. They're seen as the expert. People come to them saying like, hey, I want to build with you. And the builder's like, hey, I've never even heard about you. Well, it's because of these people long-term, they have been nurtured. Okay. So now let's dig into focused and consistent builder marketing. So just keep in mind everything that I just explained there in terms of focus into this as well now. So focus and consistent builder marketing means you need a focus. So you need the system, the energy, you need the right energy, the inputs. You should be optimizing for results, the output, and then time. So consistency, keep it going there. So if you remember that diagram I just showed you there, this is how it translates into marketing. So in the middle here, you've got this yellow triangle. That is the system. That's the focus. And I'm going to go into each one in 1 second. And then on the left-hand side, you've got the traffic, the energy input, the people that don't know about you, that you're getting aware and you're putting them into your system, which then leads to the output, which is results. So let's go into each one here. And I'll dive a little bit deeper onto like a next level. This is the big picture view right here. So if you want to take a photo of this, take a photo. This is as simple as it gets with marketing for builders. Cool. So the first one I'm going to talk about is traffic. Okay, so this is where you find new people and get them aware of you. And the way we normally do this is for our clients at the moment is Facebook and Instagram. This is the easiest way to get a lot of good traffic into your system. Now, you might have tried Facebook ads and Instagram ads before, but the question I want to ask you is, did you have the system in place? Okay. If it didn't work for you, chances are that, you either had a system in place, but it wasn't the right system, or you didn't have a system in place at all. And this is what it looks like, right? Just from a real graphic point of view, you're trying to get people's attention with the imagery that you have, the videos that you have, and you've got really good copywriting that gets their attention, gets them to stop scrolling, to read it, take a call to action, which is like click, and then go into your system from there. And I'll talk a little bit about that in 1 second. The next thing you want is a really solid brand. So like a good brand identity. Okay. And this relates to your website, the stories, the organic social media that you do. So I might just zoom in on this topic here for 1 second. Your website should do a lot of things. It should stop people from quitting that page. When your ideal client lands on that page, they should know that, hey, I'm on the right page here. Okay, I'm at the right location. If you're a Brisbane builder and a prospective client in Brisbane lands on your website, they should go, yep, I'm at the right place here. Yep, this builder does architectural builds. This is what I'm after. Okay. You have to clearly identify and tell people your what problems you solve for them. What are the problems that they have? Okay. And this is why you have to always talk to your clients as well, your ideal clients. And with our clients, when we take them through this exercise to create all of this for them, we go through this stage called story development. And this is where we get clear on who their ideal target market is. And we go deep on what are some of those problems. You also have to talk about their desires here. What do they desire in a home? It's not just the product. It's not just the materials. It's about the why. So do they want to entertain? Do they want to have a bigger home to build, which is a solid foundation for their family, for example? So you've got to understand their desires. And the same goes for the story side. So normally for our clients, we create like an overview story of their business so that prospective clients can understand who they are, why they do what they do, and really build that emotional connection. And the other side of the other story is like case study stories. So there's no like case study stories of like past clients and projects are probably the most powerful thing that you can have. And that is why it's because it overcomes so many objections, false beliefs. It shows future clients, it gives them an idea of what their desire should be. Because a lot of people don't even know what they want. So, but if they watch these client stories, it channels that desire and gets them clear on what they desire. And then automatically you are the builder of choice because you've already done that for previous clients. And then organic social media. So this is when, if you go on Facebook or Instagram, you go on someone's profile, what do you see there? Okay, so you want a good organic social media presence there. And don't think you're going to get traffic from organic social media. You do get some, like a little bit here and there, but I've looked at the stats for our clients, for example, the ones where we do the traffic side, so this side of it, okay, and this is where you pay for that awareness, you pay for ads, and then on the organic social media, it's night and day difference, okay? So Facebook wants you to pay to get that awareness. If you don't pay, it's just going to be there on your profile, which is not a bad thing because, again, if someone finds out about you through a paid ad, they go to your website, they look at your stories, they might go, okay, cool, let's check them out on Instagram. Let's check them out on Facebook. And then you need a good presence there. So on the organic social media side, some of the things you can cover there are like some of your past projects, what your team, what are some, like even on a lifestyle side, right? Because people connect with people that are like similar to them. So if you, let's say, for example, I love cycling, for example, so that's something, you could put out that like, look, I like cycling. So it's another way to connect. You're always looking to connect. So there's that, just a big picture of the brand, the first part, which is that emotional connection. And you want people to emotionally connect from the get-go. Then the next thing is offers. You need to create offers for your prospective clients. Most builders that I come across, most businesses that I come across, their offer is contact us. And then you land on a contact form, name, email, phone, and message. And then guess what? A lot of people that have never built before, they don't know anything about it. They don't know the process or anything. So what they get to this empty block of like message. And they're like, what do I put in this? What do I put in here? I don't even know. So they go, I'd love to know your square meter rate. And then builders go, why do I only attract people that want to know square meter rate? Everyone's just price shopping, right? This is what people normally tell us. But have you looked at like, why is that happening? So really, like, quickly, when clients come on board with us, we put in offers for them, for their prospective clients. The next logical step for prospective clients to go into. The first one we do is a consult request, which is number 2 on this one, but this is important. So consult request is there for people that are ready to take that next step, for basically to have a chat with you and go on with the sales process, to look at their project, okay? And this one here is really important. You need to be able to, like, on the first page of this consult request offer page, you need to sell the value of the consult request. You need to sell what they're going to get out of it. And this is a really good chance for you to set yourself apart from other builders, because you can clearly say, I'm going to, we're going to walk through your site, identify, what you want, why you want it. We're going to help you get clear on your vision, and all these kind of things. So a lot of builders, like, this will be unique to you. You need to set up a unique offer for your consult request. Then the next thing in that consult request is you need a questionnaire. You need a questionnaire that takes the prospective client through a journey. So it's a great way to educate that prospective client and also get them clear on what they want and why they want it. So a great question we ask is, what do you want? So people will say, I want an extension. And then we go, okay, well, why do you want it? The next question, well, my family's growing and we want more space. It's too, like the home is too small at the moment. Everyone's yelling at each other, so on. Now you understand the why. But more importantly, the prospective client knows why they want to do this. So it's almost like helping them on a psychological level, why they want to build. So you're taking them through this journey. And what you get out of it is answers to a thorough questionnaire that you can go and qualify real quick. And our clients normally look at it and then qualify from there to see whether or not they're going to do the consultation, whether they need more information. So they might jump on the phone or just disqualify it completely and maybe send them to another builder that might be more suited to them, for example. Then the next one is an opt-in. So this is for people much earlier on in the sales process. They might be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years away from building. But this is a way for you to convert the dollars that you put into Facebook and Instagram ads, that awareness, and convert them into your CRM. So you've got a database. Okay, this is a great way because you want to try and build your database as much as possible so that you can communicate to that database and not always having to go and do it on Facebook, because Facebook might not even show your message next time to that same person. So this is what you do. Those are the two things I've just explained there. And the opt-in there, just before, something I forgot to say is this could be an ebook. Some of our clients do a video or some sort of tool. All right. Then the next thing, now that you've converted them, you've made an offer, you want to nurture them to build trust. And the three ways we do that normally is, number one is through paid ads. Again, we want to make sure that every time they go on Facebook and Instagram, they see your business pop up. Okay. And this is a great way of advertising because your advertising dollar goes really far because you can keep showing up there. So for any of you here, you might have jumped on our website or engaged with us on social, you'll probably see our ads, day in, day out. Okay. So that's really good. It's a good way for us to be in front of you. And that's the same thing you want for your clients. Then the next one is valuable content nurturing campaign. So this is a great thing here. This is something that can be automated, but don't think it's easy. You've got to put in a really great amount of effort, and you need to invest the time into putting the right content, like setting up the right content here. You want to keep this journey alive with prospective clients. You want to educate them along the way. You want to overcome false beliefs, objections, and the reason why you want to do that is because then they will see you as the expert. Okay. So this is a really important part. So we build this out for our clients, like a nurturing campaign that can last for years. All right. You want to assume that every opt-in that comes in, the chance of you building for them, if you build for them, might be in 4 years' time or whatever. So you want to have enough content there to always educate them. Okay. And then the next type of email that we normally suggest our clients do is a timely email campaign. So this is something live. This is something you've got to come up with. I normally say, make it your goal to do one of these every quarter. The great reason, the reason why you want to do it each quarter is because you can say, these were the projects that we delivered in the last, 3 months. These are the projects we're busy with. These are some of the projects that we've just signed up, maybe show them some renders. And the reason why you want to do this is there's a lot of different reasons, but one good one is to show that your business is alive. All right. We're doing stuff. People are building with us, right? It's kind of like that analogy that if you walk down the street past restaurants and you go and you walk past a restaurant that it's empty, you're like, oh man, maybe I should, let's keep walking. All right. There's no one there. And then you get to the restaurant where there's like a line at the door. You're like, okay, cool. Let's go with this one. Assuming both those restaurants are exactly the same. Okay. The food's the same, service the same, all that stuff. People will still go to the one that is like overbooked. because people want to do, like, people trust businesses and products that, you know, they are like in demand. People actually use them or they go to them. So that's the same thing here. You want to show, if you have projects and everything going on, you want to make sure that people know that you've got projects happening. And it might be other things as well, like, hey, we're hiring. You know, you might put in this campaign, hey, we're hiring a new supervisor. And you're thinking like, I'm not going to get a supervisor out of my email list. Doesn't matter. It shows future prospective clients that, hey, look, this business is growing. They want to move risk off themselves, right? If they go with a builder, especially during these times moving ahead, they want a builder where there's less risk for them. Okay, so that's something you want to think about there. So yeah, you've got the warm Facebook ad. So it's, you know, similar to what I spoke about before with the cold side of Facebook and Instagram ads. You want to keep popping up there. You want the monthly nurture emails. You want it to, the important part with the monthly nurturing emails is not just putting content there for the sake of content. It needs to be written in such a way to, number one, hook them so that they want to open the email. And they read the first sentence, and it's clearly written for them because you understand their problem, you understand their desire, and then you take them on a journey, all right, through this email, and then you might have a call to action. So it's education first and then call to action. Okay, so this is a great way for a lot of our clients. As you can see, they'll put their videos in here, for example. And then this is what you want, a monthly nurture email setup. So email, wait 7 days, or wait, 30 days or whatever, next email, and so on. And then as a whole, so I've just gone through brand, offers, and nurture. As a whole, you want your sales pipeline and your CRM to house all of this stuff together. You want everything to work together with each other. Okay, so you want a structured sales pipeline. So you want to be able to go, okay, these are all my new opt-ins. Hopefully you guys can see this on my screen. It's a pretty small screen. You want to be able to see all your new questionnaires. You want to see what are all the on-site bookings you have here. You want to see which prelims have you signed, which ones have you won, and you want just a snapshot of what your pipeline looks like. Okay, so our clients normally have this. I'd tell them to bookmark this page, like these 2 pages, so they can look at it every single day. And you want to be able to manage all your prospective project leads in this type of system. And then results, output. So you want prospective clients that are well educated. You want to be the builder of choice. You want to be seen as the expert, and you want a predictable pipeline. That is what you should be aiming for with your marketing. It's not just about activity. It's not just about traffic. Everyone always talks about traffic. You need to blog, you need to SEO, AdWords, YouTube ads, TikTok. Like, that's what everyone's always talking about. But the thing they always miss is, what's the system? What's the client journey you put them through? What results should you be optimizing for? Okay. So that's about it for my presentation. Just real quick, how we help our clients. So if there's anyone in here that is like all interested in having a chat with us to see whether or not, if and how we can help you, this is what we normally do for our clients, real clearly and logically. So number one is, we always start with story development. So this is like the marketing strategy, identifying ideal clients and messaging. We actually take your whole team through this. This is a great way to get everyone on board, get everyone on the same page. It's a very exciting part. The next one is story creation. So we create your unique story and stories of your clients and projects. If you want to see some of these stories, go to our website. You'll see plenty of stories there. That's where you emotionally connect with your ideal clients. We do content creation. So for that offer, we'll create your ebook brochure. We create all your email campaigns, social media ad content. And then we've got BV Amplify Marketing and Sales CRM. So all our clients get their own CRM. This is where you build a sales pipeline that you can manage, and also a marketing database that you can nurture. And the email campaigns and everything works in together here. We'll create all the landing pages and the funnels for those offers that I spoke about before. So high converting landing pages and lead generation funnels, including your customer questionnaires, so you can qualify them, and also to help you attract and retain potential customers in this sales pipeline. And then we do the ad management. So that's the traffic side. So we manage advertising and promotion on Facebook and Instagram, ensuring your message reaches the right audience at the right time. So that's in a nutshell, what we do. We can go into more information on a call. It's called the strategy session call. So if you want to jump on a call like this to see if and how we can help, just scan this QR code or go on this link. But yeah, that's it from my side, Dan and Phil.
Great. Thank you, Corne. That was brilliant. I know we've had a pretty big crowd here today, and they've all stayed on. So that's always a good vote of confidence that people are engaged with the topic and how you're covering it there. So now I just thought we might just open up for some Q&A. We're running pretty well on time, so understand if people have got to go, but we're happy to hang around for as long as you guys want us to. We've got, Dan obviously to cover off on any of the, financial state of the market sort of stuff. If you also want to ask, anything around job costing or any of the systems in that world, Dan's happy to answer that stuff. But obviously, Corne is the marketing guy here. You can tell by his video and audio setup. And so really happy for you guys to throw any question you like at us. So there's one here, just to kick us off. Michaela is asking, what CRM do you recommend? I'll caveat this, obviously, Corne, you've got your own CRM that you guys offer as part of your overall service. I guess, there are differences across the market in terms of what they all do. If people go with you guys, obviously they've got an option to use your platform, but just generally, what should people be looking for, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, there's a lot of good CRMs out there. You can have a look at like HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, and so on. There's obviously a lot of setting up. You want to, with any software, you want to make sure that it works for your business. You need to set it up in a way that works for your business. We've got BV Amplify, so our clients get that CRM in working with us. And the benefit with that is we can make sure everything works together, like what I've mentioned before. Their videos, their nurturing campaigns, landing pages, their sales pipeline. So everything is integrated in one place. And we've created and set it up specifically for, builders. So that's that. But yeah, there's plenty of good CRMs out there. But the best thing I can say about CRM is like you have to be able to use it. If you don't use a CRM, it means nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know in our own business, it's just continual hygiene around anyone who needs to be interacting with a CRM to keep it up to date. We use Zoho ourselves. There's HubSpot. There's a bunch of them out there, and a lot of them I think have try before you buy or freemium kind of versions, so you can put it through its paces. But just having one is the start, and then as you say, keeping it up to date must be a daily ritual. Every time you do a phone call, do a meeting, send a prop, keeping it up to date is really critical. Question here around Melinda's asking, tailoring a marketing campaign for a B2B kind of environment rather than business to client. How do you suggest you sort of approach that aspect of marketing?
That's a great question. I mean, the first thing I always want to ask you is like business to business. Like obviously our marketing is business to business. We help builders. Who are builders? Like, is it a piece of paper with an PTO LTD on it, or is it people? Right. So you always want, you still want to remember that, doesn't matter if you do business to business, you still need to connect on that emotional level with people. So, I mean, a great example of this is we actually have a fair few clients that are in that business to business space, whether it's like an electrician company that will focus on like builders, for example. Same thing. You want to be seen as the expert. You want to get them into your sales pipeline. You want to nurture them along the way. Things look a little bit different, but in essence, the overall big picture that I showed you before there will work really well. There's some other little things you can put into that as well in terms of outreach. Joint ventures is a good one. A great way, Melinda, I'm not sure in what business you're in. If you want to just type in there what business you're in. then I could probably suggest. But one cool thing is, like, we run a podcast. So I might just quickly go to that slide. So if anyone's interested, just jump on this QR code. We post a video each week. We actually had Dan on the podcast there. But that's a great way to do some partnerships with people, is to find people, even prospective clients, in your business to business, and invite them to your podcast, where they will get value out of it for their audience as well. So that's a great way to build that relationship with those people. So if you imagine, if you do a podcast every single week and you get someone, like some of your prospective clients, into your office every single week, you can do the podcast and build value and build that relationship. So that's a great way of doing that as well.
So yeah, I think Linda was saying she's in commercial tiling. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So we've helped a fair few, like, I'm not sure if is that like a service or a product? Commercial tiling.
I gather she's in the commercial side rather than residential, so she's marketing to other businesses.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're
Well,
probably.
I think
Yeah.
The thing about B2B sales is often quite it's a more complex sale. Involves small moving parts often. I would think though that like that emotional piece is still really important, and then being able to see your work in some way, shape, or form is really important. Be able to connect with what you have to offer. So yeah. Michaela's asked another question. Thanks for the questions, Michaela. What are your recommendations, Corne, in terms of what a case study video should cover?
Yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of resources in this somewhere in our content marketing. But the first thing you want to do is you want to, again, be clear on who your ideal client is, or ideal clients in the future. And then look at like past clients. Are there any past clients that similarly matches those ideal clients? And then decide then, okay, cool, let's do a case study on that particular person, because again, you want to show case studies that will resonate with your future ideal clients. And then within that case study, what it should cover is it should cover the client's desire before they even looked at building. And then and then the conflict, which is problems. What were some of the problems that they came up against? Family growing, it's too small, all that stuff. And then take that client had to go on a journey to find you, the business, which is the solution, and then provide the solution. What did you do for them? All that kind of stuff. And then the end results. And throughout, if you're a builder, throughout, you want to show visuals of that. Again, like show, don't tell. People believe what they see. So that's just real quick what you can cover in a case study story. Yeah.
Great. So then another one here, I think this one's more for you, Dan. So in regards to costing, I'm always worried that I've not set up my quoting system accurately enough to capture everything in order to create my correct PM, maybe GM. What do you think is the software out there at the moment for small and medium building companies focusing on renovation and extension? You deal with a lot of these, Dan. So in terms of estimating, quoting systems, project management systems, what do you recommend there?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Yeah, look, get this question all the time. And look, it really depends on the sort of size and scale of your business. Like if you're a large commercial business, sort of turning 15 to 20, you probably want to look at something with a bit more horsepower like Procore. But if you're in that sort of small and medium space, I mean, there's essentially two major programs that I love. One's Buildertrend, but that's really good for like downstream project management. But I think the one that might be best fit for you, just at a really high level, is probably Xact. So Xact's really good upstream, which is like, I guess, the quoting, the takeoffs, the recipes, the purchase order process. Yeah, I mean, generally, if you're in that sort of small and medium space and you're more worried about upstream, which is the quoting, that whole quoting process, I'll probably lean more towards Xact. It's pretty intuitive. I mean, they're a monster business. They're huge in the US, heaps of capital behind them. And obviously, we've got lots of capital. You can punch it into the user experience and, try and make the process, seamless for builders, I guess. So I'll probably just chuck a bit of your time in that, watch a couple of their videos, do a trial, and their support functions are really good as well as far as like getting you on board. And, you can even sort of download a trial version as well and have a bit of a play. It's a bit of effort to set up, don't get me wrong, but I'm quite a fan of Build Xact.
Yeah, and I guess just to add to that and a bit of a disclosure, we're really good friends with the team at Build Xact. We've done a lot of analysis in the market to look at what best platform looks like for our clients, because it's just such a mission critical piece of kit. And we, as Dan said earlier in the presentation, we've sort of hitched our wagon. We've actually built some technology around the dashboarding, like profit dashboarding side of Build Xact, so that you can get more of the downstream visibility that I think that question was sort of pointing at as well, around being able to track margins and profit through the projects. A bit of a early news on that dashboard that we've been working with Build Xact for them to start incorporating that dashboard into their product. And one of the reasons why we decided to work with them is that they're an Australian-based company, and because they've got quite a lot of resource they've raised now, they're just continually investing that in the product and just making it stronger and stronger all the time. So for us, that was a good alignment in terms of software out there that we were keen to get in behind and have our clients use. Yeah, so I think there's another question around Corne, that what do people do if they're already obviously in the market, and particularly around brand identity and things like that? How do you then, do you just throw everything in the bin that you've done previously? How do you migrate to take on some of the things that you're suggesting that people and businesses take on?
Yeah, that's a good question, mate. I mean, the first thing we always, once a client comes on board with us, we go through story development. And one of that part, like I said before, is getting clear on your ideal client. And then from there, we do all the messaging and so on for the stories, for all the nurturing campaigns, basically everything that I spoke about before. But let's say, for example, a great example is you probably have a website already, probably have some social media. So what our clients normally do is they update some of them do complete new websites, some of them do complete new brand identities, but most of the time they'll just update their messaging in on the website, for example, making sure that people understand, okay, this is my location, this is who I target, maybe update some of the projects there. We do have a few clients that might do Google AdWords and everything. Most of the time, they'll probably just keep it going, or some of them might switch it off. It's just about pivoting a little bit. It's not about throwing everything in the bin. I think, yeah, if you think that way, you'll probably find it hard to start, because you're like, oh man, it's just this massive mountain. I've got to scrap everything I've done in the past and then rebuild everything. It's just too much of a daunting task. And builders are busy already. They're running businesses, projects, just a million different invoices, all that kind of stuff every single week. There's so much going on. You want to make this as easy as possible. And that's why, why we do what we do. And the journey that our clients go on is we make it super easy for them. So you just want to remember always, simplicity wins over complex. Yeah.
So a follow-on sort of here around, so when you're trying to sell your story, you mentioned a few things that all builders say. We care about quality. So I think this is about how do you differentiate yourself when everyone sort of says, it's like when people say, service is number one for us, or quality is number one for us. So how do you go about that?
Story development. That's where we dive deep into actually what separates you. And one thing you want to understand is again, I'll keep going back to who is your ideal client? If you're not clear on who that ideal client is, you can't create your story that matches what they want. Okay. It's not about faking it, but it's about pointing out and highlighting some of the things about you and your story and your business that will resonate with them. And that's how you stand out. That's how you separate yourself from other builders. Yeah.
And Dan, for you, I mean, it's a similar kind of thing, right? We see a lot of builders come to us with similar kind of challenges all the time. And back to the point about, throwing everything in the bin, how do you even get started with this sort of stuff? What are the things in terms of being able to implement good job costing, get better financial visibility, where would you start on that journey?
Yeah, look, generally our process is, and again, we're a bit of a high touch function anyway, but I mean, every builder's sort of on a bit of a different journey as well. And usually by the time they sort of bump into an account like me, which is like a bit of a commercial account, I mean, usually they know how to, build a good product. They're good at swinging the hammer. They're good at sort of managing, maybe 1 to 2 crews. But as soon as you sort of sign your 3rd or 4th build or 5th build, stuff gets messy pretty quickly. So I mean, the key to these businesses as well, all the big guys do it. I mean, I've got ASX background, so you sort of take that a little bit for granted, but the formula is always the same: it's system, process, repeatability, scalability. Like that's the formula to sort of really lift the business. The stuff that Corne's talked about, it's just systemizing your process as well. I mean, you have to be genuine and care about what you do, and it's easy to write, I guess, a note online that says, hey, we care about building, but if you have good stories and good quality content to share, back in the day, you'd huddle around a fire, swap stories. I mean, that's how you sort of create impact. And, whether you're sort of doing what Corne's doing or what I'm doing or Phil in that sort of commercial manager space as well. I mean, it's all around the stories and I guess the impact and change you've made, but it's always the same thing, systems, process, repeatability, scalability. And some builders are really close and only need like a little bit of a nudge to bring it all together. Some need a bit more work, but, generally there's a solution out there. It's not saying it's unachievable, but it will take a bit of sweat, effort and energy. But you sort of start at the start and go, what are the missing pieces, slot them in, what's our plan? And we just drive that accountability and process out.
Awesome. I think that's pretty much it. I think we've got to the end of those questions there. Lots of, just comments coming through as well. I don't know if I don't think people could see that, but just, thanks for the quality content and all that sort of stuff, which is lovely to hear. I thought just before we go, I'd just quickly show a couple of QR codes again. If people want to get in contact with either Bizvideo on the left there, the left dinosaur, you can scan that QR code. That'll take people to Corne. And then on the right, if you want to have a chat to Dan about anything, then contact Dan by scanning that QR code on the right. I hope everyone enjoyed today, and we'll be sending this out as a something you can watch after the event. And yeah, we'll hope to see you again on another one of our webinars. I think, Dan, you're doing a budgeting one next month. So if you're interested in how to build a budget, it all starts with the budget, Dan tells me. You don't know where you're going if you haven't set a destination in terms of your profit, and it drives things like how many new leads I've got to get into the business, where my gaps might be in terms of the projects, 3 to 6 months time. A whole lot of things come from that. So make sure you keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. Thank you very much, Corne, for joining us today. That's a brilliant presentation.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And I think, there's some really great fundamentals there that people can apply into their marketing, and particularly at a time like this, where, as Dan said, things are potentially going to get a bit tighter in the market. So differentiation is going to be really key. And Dan, thank you, as always, for your wisdom, mate, and insights. This industry so well. So thank you so much for sharing all those great insights as to where the market's at the moment. Thanks, guys.
Cool, guys.
And that's where we'll pull it up.
See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy the